Stop scrolling. This wasn't just a concert. This was a moment that made the world pause. Welcome to Jakuk Lover, the place where we uncover every hidden detail behind and that fans around the globe can't stop talking about. Before we go any further, make sure you hit like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe right now, because what you're about to witness might be one of the wildest concert moments in global history. Because that night and something happened. Something that can't simply be explained as a performance. The atmosphere didn't feel normal from the beginning. Tens of thousands of ARMY filled the stadium, their light sticks glowing like a living ocean of stars. But beneath that beauty, there was something else in the air. Tension, anticipation, almost like everyone sensed that this night would be different. And then the lights dropped. The cheers didn't just rise, they exploded. It wasn't just noise. It was a force, a wave of emotion, so powerful it felt like the entire stadium was shaking from within. Seconds stretched into something unreal, like time itself was holding its breath. And then he appeared, stepped onto the stage, and in that instant, everything changed. The reaction was immediate. Fans screamed, cried, reached out as if trying to hold on to the moment before it slipped away. Cameras captured faces in shock, disbelief, overwhelming emotion. This wasn't just admiration. This felt deeper. What was it about this moment that hit so differently? From the very first movement, Jimin commanded the stage in a way that felt almost unreal. Every step, every glance, every subtle expression seemed to ripple through the crowd, triggering reactions that spread like electricity. Even the other members have appeared to be caught in the same surge of energy, like something bigger than a performance was unfolding right in front of them. And this is where things turned wild, because it wasn't just about choreography or vocals anymore. It was about moments, small ones, blink and you miss it interactions that fans quickly latched onto. A glance held a second longer, a reaction that felt unscripted, a shift in energy that no one could quite explain. Then came the moment, the one now circulating across social media, replayed thousands, millions of times. In the middle of the performance, the atmosphere shifted. What had been explosive suddenly became intimate. The noise didn't disappear, but it transformed, like the entire stadium leaned in at the same time. Cameras caught expressions that didn't look rehearsed. They looked real. And that's when the question started. Was this planned? Or did something genuine break through in that exact second? Clips flooded every platform within minutes. Fans analyzed everything, frame by frame, second by second. Every movement became a clue. Every reaction, a possible meaning. And the more people watched, the more unsettling the mystery became. Why did the crowd react so intensely compared to other shows? Why did the interactions feel different? And why are so many fans saying that the energy that night wasn't normal? Some attendees even described feeling overwhelmed in ways they couldn't explain, like being swept up in something larger than themselves. Was it simply the scale of the concert? Or was there something else at play? Because one thing is undeniable. That night in Tampa wasn't just a concert. It became a phenomenon, a shared emotional experience that connected thousands in a single heartbeat, while leaving millions more online trying to understand what really happened. And even after the final note faded, the story didn't end. Fans stayed outside the stadium, replaying moments, trying to process what they had just witnessed. Some were laughing, others crying, many just silent, like they had experienced something they didn't yet have the words for. Is this the true power of on a global scale? Or is there something deeper unfolding beneath the surface? What makes it even more intriguing is how certain moments felt almost too perfect to be accidental, as if there was a hidden narrative playing out in real time, one that we're only beginning to notice. And of course, the theories began. Some believe this was part of a larger concept yet to be revealed. Others argue it was pure, raw emotion, unfiltered, unscripted, impossible to recreate. But then there's the question that refuses to go away. Are we witnessing the beginning of something much bigger? Because if one night in Tampa could feel like this, what happens next? Is this the peak of a tour? Or the start of an entirely new chapter that no one saw coming? And more importantly,
what happened next didn't just stay inside that stadium, it escaped. Within minutes, clips from the night in began spreading across timelines, feeds, and group chats around the world. Fans who weren't even there started to feel it's something raw, something electric, something that couldn't be fully explained through a screen. And yet, the more people watched, the more they felt drawn into it. There was a particular moment just a few seconds long that became the center of everything. It wasn't the loudest part of the show. It wasn't even the most choreographed. In fact, it looked almost simple. But that simplicity is exactly what made it powerful. Because in that brief interaction, seemed to drop every layer of performance and just exist in the moment. His expression shifted soft, intense, almost vulnerable, and for a split second, it felt like the entire stadium noticed at the same time. The reaction was immediate. Screams turned into something else longer, deeper, more emotional. Some fans later described it as a wave passing through the crowd. Others said it felt like their chest tightened without warning. It sounds dramatic, but when thousands of people describe the same sensation in different words, it becomes harder to ignore. And then there were the members of themselves. Several cameras caught subtle reactions, glances exchanged, small smiles, movements that didn't quite match the rehearsed structure fans were used to seeing. Nothing obvious, nothing confirmed, but just enough to make people pause and ask, was something unscripted happening? This is where things started to spiral. Fan communities across platforms began dissecting every frame. Slow motion edits appeared within hours. Zoomed-in clips, contrast-enhanced screenshots, side-by-side comparisons with previous performances, and nothing was left untouched. Why did that look different? Why did that moment feel heavier? Why did it seem like something was being communicated without words? Theories multiplied. Some believed it was simply the result of heightened emotion after all. Concerts are designed to create connection, but others argued that this went beyond design. That what happened on that stage wasn't planned down to the smallest detail, but instead allowed space for something real to break through. And that idea that something real slipped through the cracks of a perfectly crafted performance is what made this moment impossible to forget. Because perfection is expected, but authenticity, especially in a setting that massive, is rare. As the night continued, the energy didn't fade, it evolved. Songs that usually brought explosive reactions now carried an added weight. Ballads felt heavier, more personal. Upbeat tracks still made the crowd jump, but there was an undercurrent and emotional thread connecting everything together. It was as if the concert had shifted from spectacle to experience, from performance to something closer to a shared memory being created in real time. And at the center of it all was, every move he made seemed to anchor the moment. When he smiled, the crowd lifted. When his expression softened, the stadium quieted in response. It wasn't control in the traditional sense, it was connection. The kind that doesn't rely on choreography, but on presence. But here's what made everything even more intense. Not everyone experienced it the same way. Some fans described the night as euphoric, the best concert they had ever attended. Others called it overwhelming, saying they needed time afterward just to process what they felt. A few even admitted they couldn't fully enjoy certain parts because the emotions hit too hard, too fast. And that contrast, that split in experience, only added to the mystery. How could one event create such a wide range of reactions? Was it the scale, the timing, or something more intangible? Because when you look at the footage now, there's a pattern that's hard to ignore. Moments of chaos followed by moments of stillness. Loud explosions of sound followed by near silence. It's almost rhythmic, like a push and pull between intensity and intimacy. And maybe that's the key. Maybe what happened in Tampa wasn't just about what was performed, but how it was felt. How thousands of people, each with their own expectations and emotions, suddenly found themselves moving in sync, reacting not just to the music, but to something deeper, something harder to define. As the final segment of the concert approached, the energy reached a point where it almost felt unsustainable, like it had to break or transform into something else. And in a way, it did. The closing moments didn't explode. They lingered. Instead of ending with a single overwhelming peak, the atmosphere stretched out. holding onto the emotion just a little longer than expected. Fans raised their light sticks, voices blending together not just in excitement, but in something closer to unity. And when the last note finally faded, there was a pause. Not silence exactly, but something quieter than what came before. A collective breath, a moment where no one seemed ready to let go. Then reality returned. The lights came up. The members waved. The crowd slowly began to move. But something had changed. Because outside the stadium, the energy didn't disappear, it spilled out. Groups of fans stood together, replaying videos, trying to explain what they had just experienced. Strangers talked like they had known each other for years, bonded by a single night that felt bigger than any one person. And online, the conversation only intensified. Was it the best performance of the tour? Was it different from previous shows? Did something unexpected happen on stage? Or are fans reading too much into something that was simply powerful by design? There's no single answer. And maybe that's why this moment continues too. Grow. Because it lives in that space between what we can see and what we think we feel, between performance and reality.